Hello and welcome back to NEET Prep Go. So today we'll be doing another chapter, morphology in flowering plants. The wide range in the structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperms show such a large diversity in external structure or morphology, they are all characterized by presence of root, stem, leaf, flower and fruits. So in chapter 2 and 3 we talked about classification of plants based on morphological and other characters. For any successful attempt or at classification and at understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definitions. So for any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant or living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definition. We also need to know about the possible variations in different parts found as adaptations of the plant to their environment. Example, adaptations to various habitats for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, then you will see that all of them have root, stem and leaf. They may be bearing flowers and fruit. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, whereas the portion which is above the ground is the shoot system. So the underground part, that is below the soil, is the root system, and the part above is the shoot system. The root. In majority of the dicotyledonous plants, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root which grows inside the soil. In majority of dicotyledonous plants, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root, and this primary root grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders which are referred to as secondary and tertiary roots. So the direct elongation of radicle leads to the formation of primary root, and the primary root bears a lot of lateral roots of several orders which are referred to as secondary root, tertiary root, etc. The primary root and its branches constitute the taproot system. So the primary root and the primary root, which is the direct elongation of the radicle, and its branches, they constitute the taproot system. And such is seen in dicotyledonous plants such as mustard. In monocotyledonous plants, for example wheat, the primary root is short-lived and it gets replaced by many large number of roots which arise from the base of the stem, and this constitutes the fibrous root system. Example in wheat. In some plants such as grass, monstera and banyan tree, roots arise from parts of the plant other than the radicle, and therefore they are called as adventitious roots. What are the main functions of root system? It is absorption of water and minerals, then storage of reserve food material, then anchorage, providing anchorage and support to the plant, and lastly the synthesis of plant growth regulators or plant hormones. So what comprises of the shoot system? That is the flower, fruit, stem and leaf, and nodes and internodes, they all comprise of the shoot system, and the primary root, secondary root, tertiary root, they all comprise of the root system. And from the node, the vegetative propagules arise. And what is an internode? That is the space between two nodes. So this is the main taproot system. This is the primary root, and it has lateral roots which are secondary and tertiary roots. This is the fibrous root system, that is in wheat you can see in monocotyledons. That is the primary root is short-lived, and there are a lot of fibrous roots which are arising from the base of the stem. Then this is adventitious roots, that is they are arising other than from radicle, that is through nodes, from nodes. Now regions of the root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like, that is thumb-like cap, which is called as the root cap. What is the function of root cap? The root cap protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity, wherein there are continuously dividing cells, and the region of meristematic activity is very small. It is thin-walled and it has dense protoplasm, and the meristematic cells in the region of meristematic activity, they divide rapidly or repeatedly, The cells which are proximal to the region of meristematic activity, that is the region of elongation, in which the continuously dividing cell, they enlarge and they elongate, and the region of elongation is responsible for the growth of the root in terms of length. Then proximal to the region of elongation is the region of maturation, wherein these elongated or enlarged cells, they differentiate and they mature. Um, and hence this zone proximal to the region of elongation is called as the region of maturation. And from this region, the thread-like, that is some of the epidermal cells, they form very thin thread-like, fine, delicate thread-like structures which are called as root hairs, and these root hairs help in the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. And the root hairs, they absorb water and minerals from the soil, and they increase the surface area for absorption. Modifications of root. Roots in some plants change their shape and structure, and they become modified to form or to perform functions other than the absorption of water and minerals from the soil, and therefore they can be modified for support, they can be modified for storage, they can be modified for respiration. So taproots in carrot, turnip, and adventitious roots of sweet potato, they get swollen and they store food. So the tap roots of carrot, turnip, and adventitious root of sweet potato, they get swollen and they store food. Um, the hanging structures from the banyan tree, they are nothing but roots, that is, they are adventitious roots of the banyan tree called as prop roots, which help in support. Similarly, the stem of maize and sugarcane, they have roots arising at the internodes, that is, at the lower nodes of the, sorry, not internodes, nodes, at the lower nodes of the stem, and these are supporting roots, and these are called as stilt roots. In some plants such as rhizophora is a plant which grows in swampy areas. The many roots come out of the ground and they grow vertically upwards, and these are called as such roots are called as pneumatophores, and they help in respiration, that is, they help to get oxygen for respiration. So in swampy areas, the soil is clayey, thick, there is no amount of oxygen or not much gases left, so therefore that is pneumatophores, that is in rhizophora, the roots show negative geotropism, and instead of that is, the direction of the root is downwards, right? Instead of that, they grow upwards, that is away from the soil and towards the you can say light, and they help in getting oxygen for respiration. Then the stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? That is, the stem is the ascending part of the axis. The stem bears branches, fruits, flowers, leaves. It develops from the plumule. So the root was a direct elongation of radicle, whereas the stem develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed, and the stem bears nodes and internodes. The region from where the leaves are born is called as node, whereas the region between two nodes or portion between two nodes is called as an internode. The stem bears bud. These bud can be terminal or axillary. Terminal, that is terminating at the top distant most part from the of the stem, that is the opposite side. Axillary, that is towards the side. Stem is generally green when it is young, but as the plant becomes older and older, then it later becomes woody and dark brown in color. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flowers, fruits. The stem conducts water, mineral, and photosynthese. So the main function of the stem is that it bears branches, leaves, flowers, fruits, and it conducts water, minerals, and photosynthase. That is your phloem also through the stem only. That is the food after photosynthesis from the leaves reaches to different parts of the body. And some stems perform the function of storage of food, support, protection, and vegetative propagation. So some stems they perform the function of storage of food, then providing protection, then giving support, and vegetative propagation. That is from that stem an entire new plant can originate. Then modifications of stem. Now stem will not always typically be what they are expected to be. They are modified to perform different functions. For example, your underground stem of potato, ginger, zameen kand, turmeric, colocasia, they are all modified to store food in them. So potato, ginger, turmeric, zameen kand, colocasia, they are all turmeric, they are all modified to store food in them. They also act as organs of perennation to tide over when the conditions become unfavorable. Then the stem tendrils. Stem tendrils which develop so from the axillary bud of your cucurbits or gourds, that is cucumber, watermelon, and pumpkin, as well as grapevines, that is the axillary bud. It modifies to form stem tendril, and these stem tendrils, they are slender, thin, and spirally coiled. So they are somewhat like this, and they help, you must have seen, and they help in climbing. They help these plants, grapevines and all, to climb. Then axillary buds of stems may also get modified into woody, pointed and straight thorns, and these thorns are found in many plants such as citrus and bougainvillea. They protect the plant from browsing animals. Then for some plants of the arid regions, that is desert regions where water is not available properly in right amounts, that is, or adequate amounts, that is in Opuntia, it is like cactus, the leaf gets flattened, and or it can get modified fleshy cylindrical in euphorbia. Then they contain chlorophyll and carry out photosynthesis. So these flattened cells, flattened stems, and as well as your cylindrical, these are they all carry chlorophyll, and that is, they all have chlorophyll and they carry out photosynthesis. Underground stems of such underground stems of such as plants such as grass and strawberry, they spread to different niches, and when older parts die, then new plants are formed. Then in plants such as mint and jasmine, stolon is there. What is stolon? Stolon is a lateral slender branch which arises from the base of the main axis, and after growing it grows aerially for some time, and then it becomes bent and arches downward to touch the ground. Then so stolon is present in mint and jasmine. Then a lateral branch with short internodes, and each node bearing a rosette of leaves and above and a tuft of roots below, is found in aquatic plants such as Pistia and Echinoria. So Pistia and Echinoria, they have offsets in which that is a tuft of leaves is growing above the ground, and a tuft of roots is growing below the ground. So this is a typical structure of offset in Echinoria and Pistia. Then in banana, pineapple and chrysanthemum, suckers are there. What is that? That is lateral branches. They originate from the basal or ground portion of the main stem, that is inside the soil. So if you pull it, then together 3-4 plants will, like, from inside the soil only, that is from the basal underground portion of the stem, they grow horizontally beneath the soil and then come out obliquely upward, giving rise to leafy shoots. So from the base of stem axis, that is, if this is the plant, then from the, and these are the roots, and from the base axis, that is laterally, it will grow like this, and then again somewhere over here it will show leafy buds, that is, it will come out, give upward, and give rise to leafy shoots. Then leaf. So in banana, chrysanthemum, and pineapple, in banana, chrysanthemum, and pineapple, there is sucker. In mint and jasmine, there is, in grasses, there is runners, which is also like this only. Like here, it will be attached to another grass. So if you pull one grass and all of them in line, they all will get pulled. So runner is grass. Then mint and jasmine is stolon, and echinoria and pistia is um, offset. Now leaf. Leaf is lateral. It is lateral. Then it is generally flattened. It is flat, and it is borne on the stem. It develops from the node. So in the stem from the node, the leaf develops, and it bears a bud in its axil. That is, in its axil over here, it bears a bud. This axillary bud later it develops into a branch. Now leaves originate from shoot apical meristem, and they are arranged in acropetal order. They are most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. So they are in acropetal order, and they originate from the shoot apical meristem. They are most important vegetative organ for photosynthesis. They are very important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. That is, they make food. Then a typical leaf consists of three main parts. What are the three main parts? That is the middle portion, that is lamina or leaf blade. Then this leaf blade, that is the lamina, is attached to that stalk which is called as petiole, and that stalk or petiole, it is the place where it is attached to the stem. This is called as leaf base. So leaf base, petiole, and lamina. So the stem is that is, the leaf is attached to the stem at the leaf base. So the place where the leaf is attached to the stem is called as leaf base, and this leaf base, it may bear two lateral small leaf-like structures called as stipules. So this is the leaf, this is the stem, this is the leaf base, and this leaf base may have two small leaf-like structures, and these are called as stipules. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into a sheath. So in monocotyledons, this leaf base, it expands into a sheath, and it covers almost the entire portion of the stem, covers the stem partially or wholly. Then in some leguminous plants, your legumes, that is pulses, the plants in which bear pulses that you eat, leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. So in some legumes, that is this leaf base, it can become swollen, and this is called as pulvinus. Then the petiole helps hold the blade to light. Due to this petiole, that is the leaf blade or lamina, it holds it to sunlight. Then long, thin, flexible petioles allow the leaf blade to flutter in wind. So if this petiole is very long and thin, then in wind, that is when good breeze blows over, then that is, the leaf blades can flutter easily, thereby cooling the leaf. This will cool the leaf and bring fresh air to the leaf surface. Then the lamina or leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf. The lamina or the leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. So the lamina or the leaf blade, it is the green expanded part of the leaf, and it has veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein, and this prominent middle vein is called as midrib. And what is the function of the veins? That is, they provide firstly rigidity to the leaf blade, then they act channels of transport of water and minerals and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. Then we come to venation. That is, the arrangement of veins and veinlet in the lamina or of leaf is called as venation. So what is venation? That is, the arrangement of veins and veinlets of leaf is called as venation. When the veinlets form a network, then the venation is called as reticulate venation. So like this, if the veins and veinlet, if they form like a network, then it is called as uh, reticulate venation. And if the veins and veinlets are parallel, then it is called as parallel venation. Leaves of dicotyledonous plants generally possess reticulate venation, whereas monocotyledonous plants, they possess parallel venation. Types of leaves. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire, or when incised the incisions do not touch the midrib. So a leaf is this is a simple leaf. This is a simple leaf. That is when the leaf blade or the lamina is entire, and or else if it is incised, then it is incised like this. That is, it is not touching the midrib. So when the incisions of lamina reach up to the midrib and break it into number of leaflets, then it is called as compound. So in this case, they have reached the midrib. This is the midrib, and they have broken it into various. That is, they have broken the midrib into number of leaflets. Therefore, this is the compound leaf. A bud is present in the axil of petiole in both simple and compound leaf, but not in the axil of leaflets of compound leaf. So the axil will be present in the compound leaf as well as simple leaf at the leaf base or axil of the petiole, but it will not be present in the case of compound leaves. It will not be present at the axil of leaflets. Then the compound leaves may be of two types, that is pinnately compound leaf. A number of leaflets are present on a common axis. The rachis, which represents the midrib of the leaf, as in neem. This is rachis. This is this midrib. This is rachis. In neem, example is neem for pinnately compound leaf. Then secondly, palmately compound leaf. Palmately compound leaf in which the leaflets are attached to a common point, that is the tip of the petiole, as in silk cotton. So, in silk cotton is an example of palmately compound leaf in which all the leaves are attached to one point in midrib. That is at the tip of petiole, not at the point in midrib. That is at the tip of petiole. This is the petiole. At this tip, all are attached. Phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite and whorled. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner. For example, China rose, mustard and sunflower. Alternate phyllotaxy example is China rose, mustard and sunflower. In opposite phyllotaxy, pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other, such as calotropis and guava. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whorl, then it is called as whorled, as in Allistonia. So this is China rose, this is guava, and this is Allistonia. Alternate, opposite and whorled. So phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch, and there are three types of phyllotaxy. First is alternate phyllotaxy, second is opposite phyllotaxy, and third is whorled phyllotaxy. So in first, that is alternate phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in an alternate manner. For example, China rose, mustard and sunflower, which shows alternate phyllotaxy. Then an opposite phyllotaxy, that is a pair of leaves arise at each node. A pair of leaves will arise at each node and they will lie opposite to each other, such as example is calotropis and guava. Then if more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whorl, then it is called as whorled phyllotaxy, which example is Allistonia. Then modification of leaves, that is leaves are modified to perform other functions than photosynthesis. Then they are converted into tendrils for climbing as in peas, or into spines for defense as in cacti. So the axillary buds get converted into thorns and the leaves get converted into spines. Axillary bud or modified stem. Then the fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store food. Auxiliary bud only you should say, according to NCERT line. The fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store food. In some plants such as Australian acacia, the leaves are small and short-lived. The petioles in these plants expand, become green and synthesize food. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as pitcher plant and Venus flytrap, they also have modified leaves. That is, in Venus flytrap we have seen that is it is modified to form like a trap in which if the plant goes, then it closes and digests the plant with enzymes and all. Then inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes into floral meristem. What is a flower? A flower is basically a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. So a flower, what is a flower? A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. So flower is nothing but a modified shoot in which what happens, the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. Inflorescence. What is a flower? A flower is a modified shoot in which what happens, that is the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem and the internodes do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. So the apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally and instead of leaves at nodes it produces floral appendages. So when a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary, peaceful. The arrangement of flowers on the floral leaves. Support is tendril, protection is spines, storage is fleshy leaves. So in onion there are fleshy leaves. Then arrangement of flowers in the floral axis, that is on the floral axis, is termed as inflorescence. Then depending on whether apex gets developed into a flower or continues to grow, there are two types of inflorescence. First is racemose inflorescence, second is cymose inflorescence. In racemose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow and flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession. That is the main axis, it continues to grow in racemose type of inflorescence, and the flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis only gets terminated into a flower and hence there is limited growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetal order. So acropetal succession means young flowers are present towards the apex and older flowers are present at the base. In radish, lupin and mustard, that is acropetal succession. In basipetal, the it is the exact opposite. So in acropetal, younger flowers are present towards the apex and older flowers are below. Whereas basipetal, the older flowers are above and younger flowers are below. And cymose inflorescence is when main axis gets terminated into a flower. Racemose inflorescence is when the main axis keeps growing and laterally the flowers or floral appendages are produced. Then flower is the reproductive unit of angiosperm. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has 4 kinds of whorls arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel called thalamus or receptacle. So a typical flower has 4 different kinds of whorls which are arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel called thalamus or receptacle. What are these 4 whorls? They are calyx, corolla, that is sepals, petals, androecium, that is male reproductive system, gynoecium female. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, whereas androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. In flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and they are joined. This is called as perianth. When flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is a bisexual flower. When it has only stamen or carpel, then it is a unisexual flower. In symmetry, flower may be actinomorphic, that is radially symmetrical, or zygomorphic, bilaterally symmetrical. That is, if in the through center any plate passes through a central axis, it can divide into 2 equal halves, that is radially symmetrical actinomorphic plants, and only in one plane can be divided into 2 equal parts, then zygomorphic bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into 2 equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is actinomorphic. Example: mustard, datura, chili. So in mustard, datura and chili, radially symmetrical actinomorphic. When it can be divided into 2 similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, zygomorphic. Example: pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. Flower is asymmetric or irregular if it cannot be divided into 2 similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. When a flower given into equal radial has actinomorphic, what are actinomorphic plants? That is mustard, datura and chili. And when it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular plane, that is bilaterally symmetrical or zygomorphic. P. Gulmohar, bean, cassia. Asymmetric cannot be divided into any plane in canna. Example is canna. Similarly, a flower can be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in the multiple of 3, 4 or 5. That is trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous. Then flowers with bracts, that is reduced leaf, are found at the base of the pedicel and they are called as bractate. That is flowers which have bract, that is at the base of the pedicel. If there are bracts, that is reduced leaves, then it is called as bractate. If without these bracts, ebracteate. Hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. Based on the position of calyx, corolla and androecium in respect to the ovary or thalamus, the flowers are defined as hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. In hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flowers is said to be superior.